The island of Midway in the middle of the Pacific Ocean is perhaps best known as the site of a World War II battle. But right now it's the site of another battle, a battle for survival, as hundreds of thousands of albatross chicks are being slowly smothered by all the plastic that we're throwing out. Okanagan filmmaker Jan Vozenilek heard rumors of the plight of the albatross that nest on Midway, a chain of islands in the middle of the Pacific, and traveled there with his cameras.
That was overwhelming. It was profoundly moving. Midway is the world's largest colony of the Laysan albatross seabird, and hundreds of thousands of them come to the island every fall, with their partners to have their babies. As these adults fly over the Pacific, sometimes as far as Alaska, looking for food for these babies of theirs that are patiently waiting on their nests on Midway. They're now coming back with the material that's floating on the surface. Traditionally, that's been flying fish eggs and little fish and krill.
But now vast quantities of garbage have covered the surface of the Pacific Ocean with a deadly layer of plastic trash. Even here on islands 1,200 miles northwest of Hawaii, literally the middle of nowhere.
And that's what they're now mistakenly feeding to these babies. And unfortunately, the babies don't know any better. They're trusting that what mom and dad is feeding them is food. So they swallow all this plastic material, which consists of toothbrushes and bottle caps and cigarette lighters. And unfortunately, they don't have the means of regurgitating it back out because they're too small. They're not fully developed yet. So over time, all this plastic builds up in their bodies, and they eventually, a huge percentage of them end up dying as a result, dying of starvation and dehydration.
So we've got a cardboard box here, and when you showed me this, it's just really brings it home, doesn't it?
Yeah, every one of these pieces came from Midway Island, but interestingly enough, every single one of these pieces came from Midway Island out of the stomach of one of these albatross chicks.
Award-winning photographer, visual artist, and cultural activist Chris Jordan is also part of the documentary crew on Midway.
Standing over another baby albatross carcass near Midway's power plant. You can hear the roar of that in the background. And we're going to open it up. Oh man. See a cigarette lighter. Oh my God. There's another baby with a very full stomach of plastic.
Researchers say that about 70% of the plastic in the ocean comes from rivers, storm drains, and trash washed downstream from cities. A quick walk on Okanagan Lake shows the problem starts right here. So this is pretty typical, I guess, this is just a random chunk of lakefront here in the Okanagan, but it gives you some idea. If every river and lake in North America is cluttered like this, and imagining all this going down there into the Columbia and then out into the ocean.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no matter where anybody lives, we're all connected to that giant ocean. And that's what's interesting is, here we're finding the similar type of material that we're finding out on Midway, one of the remotest islands on the planet. Yeah, it's interesting. All that stuff that we just picked up, came from a part of the beach that's actually a wildlife sanctuary. But yet it's littered with our trash, and that's what the ducks and all the local wildlife are nibbling on and eating as well.
The film crew returned to Midway in March to continue work on the documentary. On this trip, they were joined by Emily Chartrand, a Penticton High School student, inspired by a talk given by Jan.
She immediately took this story and ran with it. She said, I want to be part of this cause. This is really important. What can I do to help? And so she took this whole message to her high school, to Penticton High, and started a local group called Plastic Free Penn High, and got some amazing things going there in terms of getting rid of their single-use plastic out of their school.
The feature-length documentary Midway continues production through 2011. For more information and for links to blogs and more video clips, visit midwayjourney.com. For Shaw TV, I'm Doug Brown.